What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Who You Got with
Mellow.
and Rado. It's a sports podcast where we talk about your favorite sports debates, sports highlights, and sports matchups. And if you guys are watching the video right now, make sure you click below, click that like button for us, man. We love to make sure you guys are following along with us, and you also click that subscribe button so you can get the latest videos from us and whatever we're talking about. Also, if you guys want to check out our Patreon, we got some really cool stuff going on there. You guys could ask us questions over there, and also we really wanted to share like some of our merch that we got over there for you guys. So make sure you guys check us out over there, and we're everywhere on social media, so you could definitely check us out there as well. And Mello, what are we talking about this week, man?
And you already know Tuesday night is our weekly NFL episode, and we pretty much are going into week five. It's a lot of spicy things happening, or week six actually.
Yep, yep.
Yeah, week six. Yeah, so we just finished week five. So a lot of spicy things happening, a lot of good storylines going on in the NFL, some bad ones.
That's for sure.
Just like we always say, some good teams doing good, some good teams doing bad, some bad teams doing good, and some bad teams doing bad. You know how it is. We got a little bit of everything. 32 teams. Some are doing what they're expected, some aren't. And that's what we're here to talk about. Some top storylines, and as always, who you got for the primetime games coming into the week.
That's a whole fact, man. That's a whole fact. There's gonna be an exciting week coming up. I know last week was very exciting. Obviously, like the Bills had a huge win. Obviously there was a lot of big a lot of big games going on. My Rams played Dallas Cowboys. I was a little bit sad about that one, because I felt like we definitely should have won that one. But obviously there's a lot of games that were very exciting, and
We had some games that were absolutely not exciting.
that's true as well. That's true. I mean, we definitely had some blowouts, and
A
also
game where a touchdown wasn't scored
that's
that we were
true.
all forced to watch.
And it's crazy. Also, a team that scored the most points, which is the Detroit Lions, didn't score any points, and which is insane too. The first 4 games of the season, they scored the most, and now they don't score anything. That is pretty insane to me.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
Definitely like some crazy things going on in the NFL, and we definitely want to talk to you guys about all of it. Honestly, it's very exciting.
You know, that's what we're here for. So let's just get right into it. One of the first things I definitely want to talk about is something that we had on the docket for a few weeks now, but I wanted to give a chance for this person's play to speak for themselves a few weeks into the season. Basically, the first question's got to be about Baltimore Ravens and the whole controversy surrounding the extension that they did not get Lamar Jackson to sign. So the question got to be like, did Lamar or did Baltimore make a mistake not giving Lamar that extension or not getting him to sign?
Right. So that's a great question. Did I mean, did they make a mistake not paying Lamar Jackson? That is honestly a really great question. And honestly, if you think about it, they probably did. The way that he's playing already, I mean, honestly, he's playing lights out. Even though they've had some tough games where they didn't win necessarily, they've still been close in every single game this season. Um, like if you really look at his overall stats, running and passing, he's still on par to what he did in his MVP season, which is pretty incredible if you ask me. I also think that the team that he has around him is slightly better now. He's getting his weapons back, so with all his weapons back, I do think that he's definitely gonna have a great season overall. Like this season is gonna be statistically great, and I do think that for that reason, they probably did make a mistake not paying him because honestly, like you should have paid him earlier because you could have paid him Dak Prescott money, whereas now you're gonna have to pay him like upwards of money that's gonna be higher, like Joe Burrow money and Justin Herbert money, which is like 250 $300 million probably closer to that. So that's one thing that they definitely have to worry about there. They have to think about that, and honestly, like if they really are gonna pay him at the end of the year, then they should honestly just give him a full contract, give him that 5 year extension, and just do it right away. Honestly, because there's no reason to wait. Why franchise tag him, make him wait, make him suffer? I don't like all that. What about you though? What do you think about that?
I mean, it's crazy. Because the thing too
Right.
they pretty much found a way to not come to terms with that deal, and I think that was 5 year extension. It's and like you said, like I think it's just the nature of the game right now. So many, not even top tier quarterbacks are getting paid hella money, and right now Lamar was like, I want to be the highest paid quarterback, and I definitely get it, man. Like he's making a bet of himself, and I think it's a good bet, but so you always know my reserve about Lamar. I think he has to step it up when it comes to passing. Because here's the thing,
Mhm.
I don't want to say it's a bad bet on himself. I think he is making a good bet, and at the end of the day, they are gonna have to pay him. Um, but I think some of these contracts are already ridiculous for some of these quarterbacks. So if you're saying
Right. Right.
his making it better on him, it's a good comparison
Mhm.
against other quarterbacks, then yes, I would agree that he should be paid more than some other quarterbacks. But I think that a majority of them, including this contract, is a little bit too much. And obviously, he's pretty much been their go-to. He is what Baltimore offense has been for the last few years. Pretty much what he got MVP.
MVP
Obviously, good rookie
winner.
season, broke some stats when it comes to rushing for a quarterback. And obviously, like I said, the Ravens themselves would not be nothing without him. But the problem is
That's true.
the playoffs.
Mm.
And that's always been my thing when it comes to why I feel like he needs to prove just a little more. Obviously, we know what he brings to the table as a rusher.
Right.
There's no one that comes close to doing what he can do.
Right.
But at the end of the day, when you got what 4 playoff games, and you're only averaging 225 passing yards a game,
Yep.
that's a problem.
Yep.
And now, mind you, one of those games he had like 365. So his average on the other three were under 200.
Mm.
So I've
That's
said it
true
for
too.
years. When it
That's
comes to
true.
playoff time, they always find a way to load that box, force Lamar basically to pass the ball, and he always falls short a little bit. I mean, out of those 4 games, he only threw for what
3
3 touchdowns
touchdowns.
and
Yeah.
5 picks.
Yeah.
It's not a good passer rating. He pretty much doesn't have the greatest percentages under 55 when it comes to those 4 playoff games. I understand it's a small sample, but it's enough of a sample for teams to understand what you're going to bring to the table. Regular season is a little different, but we all understand when it comes to playoff football how it gets a little bit more stricter, or just a little bit more disciplined when it comes to the way teams are playing. Um, so I definitely do think that he is making a good bet. I
Right.
do think that he's gonna find a way to pretty much make that bet work out in his favor. But my issue is
Mhm.
I think that he has to do a little more to actually earn it.
You think
Everyone
so?
thinking that he just owed that money. I think he does have to improve as a passer before he can. Like at the end of the day, he can ask for that money. He can demand that money.
Right.
They're
Right.
gonna
Right.
pay him.
Right.
They are gonna pay him. But I definitely think that there's a reason why they were a little, reserved
Reluctant.
and
Yeah.
saying they're what 2-5 without him, 37-12 with him. So clearly he brings a lot to the table. But at the end of the day, if you're more one-dimensional
Yeah.
as a quarterback and that one dimension isn't passing,
Mhm.
you're not going to really find ways to win playoff games. At the end of the day, if you can't win playoff games, then what's the point of paying your quarterback all that much money just to have a winning season, win your division, and get a first or second round exit?
That's a good point. That's a good point. If they exit in the second round, it's really not you're not doing anything for that type of money, and it's not really worth it. I guess you want him to win a Super Bowl for you with that type of money. So I definitely agree with you there. I totally think you're 100% right there. I do think that right now with the team he's got, I think that they're trying to make that push, towards that next level. Obviously, he won one playoff game in his MVP season, and now they're definitely trying to make that push to the next level. The question is, are they going to be able to do that? With a stacked AFC division right now, the way it's looking, I'm not really sure. I mean, you would hope that he's going to take that next step. He's definitely got the running back now with J.K. Dobbins back. I definitely think that like you said, I think they got problems in the secondary, but I do think they could they could overcome some things. He can definitely overcome some things and win games for them. This year, especially this year, if they're close games, he can
Right.
he can definitely win you games if they're close. But I'm just like you. I worry about him in the playoffs. I worry about him in a deep playoff series run. I do worry if he's gonna make it far this season, especially and beyond, because like really you're looking into 2-3 years in the future if they pay him. But if they franchise tag him, the question is, would he stay on the team? Is he going to play out that franchise tag, or is he going to stay out? I think he's probably going to stay out.
Nah, I don't think that they know that they can't franchise tag him. I think that if they don't want to pay him, they're gonna have to pay him because at the end of the day, if you don't pay him and then try to do that franchise tag, that is gonna be detrimental to the relationship between him and that team. And I don't think they want to risk that. Because at the end of the day, you franchise tag him, there's no way you're getting him back.
Hmm.
After that, he will not sign an extension, and he will not offer like. There's gonna be other teams offering way more money, and he'll gladly take those talents somewhere else. Because at this point,
Right.
it's not
Right.
like you have the most
Like you have
prolific
the
team
most prolific team surrounding him.
with options.
Got a couple
Really ain't
options,
nothing. And
but
you got
really ain't
your best
nothing.
receiver.
Their best receiver. Most of your running backs have injury problems. You kind of usually rely on your defense, but they haven't. They kind of been taking a step back. So I definitely think if they franchise tag him, then that's just the end of it for Baltimore Ravens and Lamar.
Wow.
And
Wow.
I think
Man, so
they
do you
both.
have
I think
like
they both know
any
that.
idea on any teams you want to just like throw out there? Because I actually have like one or two teams I can throw out there. But I want to hear some from you first.
Say that one more time.
Do you have any like
Say that one
teams
more
that you could
time.
throw out there where he would be going to if this is the end for him in Baltimore?
Honestly, that would have to be
Honestly, that would have to be
what the landscape is looking
what the
like
landscape is looking like by
Got
next
you.
year.
But obviously,
But obviously, there's going to be teams like
the Giants.
maybe the
Hmm.
Giants who might be looking
Um,
I don't
to
know the
add a
way they're
quarterback.
looking now. Yeah,
Carolina
that's
always
that's
have
where I
a
was going. Yeah,
situation where they need a quarterback.
I would say Steelers, but I
But I
doubt that
doubt
he's
that
gonna
he's going
go
yeah,
or want to
to
go to
go
a
or want
yeah.
to go to a division
Got it.
rivalry. Um,
Definitely a good team.
So I
at the
got
end of the day,
two.
there's a lot of different teams
I
that will
got
need a
two that I'm thinking
quarterback.
about.
Who you
I'm
got?
definitely thinking about Carolina, like you just said. Carolina could definitely look for a quarterback. Obviously, Baker's doing terrible this year. He's gone next year. But I'm also thinking about Detroit. I know that like they're up and down team right now, and
Hey, chill, chill. Golf
yo,
been doing his
Goff
job.
is balling out right now. That offense is working. But do you see him as a long term quarterback for him? Not really, But imagine Lamar Jackson with Swift and Amon-Ra St. Brown, Hutchinson out there doing their thing. I think that
No,
he
yeah,
could
and
ball
a
out
lot
there.
of teams will gladly get rid of their somewhat average quarterback to make that step towards that franchise quarterback, in especially a couple of years. So any team that's more held, imagine the Titans
Ooh,
finally deciding to put money
the
where the
two
quarterback
best runners,
position and like, all right, let's go out and
the two best runners in
exactly,
the
let's go out
game.
and get a QB. So that's there's a lot of
Yo,
options. That's why I think if they franchise tag him,
that's
he's
a
not staying.
that's a sleeper team right there. If the Titans get him, yo, oh my God, you have the
Because at the end of the day, think about they don't have much money tied up like on big contracts, like, and they might not be able to improve other places or pretty much nowhere else. But that right there is one of the only pieces we think they're
that's a
missing. You
fact.
know?
That's why they let go of AJ Brown. Really, they didn't really want to pay him. So I mean, obviously they're
Exactly.
really waiting for like either other players that they want to pay or they're waiting for a quarterback, and that's a good quarterback right there.
Yeah.
I don't know what they did this year, but
I mean, we did this year. Different teams, I feel like, will love
That's a
Lamar's
fact.
talents.
That's a fact.
So yeah. So at the end of the day, he's representing himself now, and it's very crucial that Baltimore falls on the good side of that line with him at the end
No,
of the
that's
season.
100% sure.
very crucial that
But if
if he gets
he
to the
gets to the playoffs, which I think he
makes
will, makes a great playoff performance. If you go out there and shit the bed for 200 yards and lose the first game in the playoffs, he's gonna have a that that he just took on himself gonna take a huge hit.
I don't know about huge. Like as long as he doesn't get injured,
That's his only crit. That's up there and show that you still
yeah.
can't
But
do
he's
it.
still gonna get paid like a top five quarterback either way.
Oh
So
yeah,
like
no,
it's
he's still at this.
it's
That's
not
the
a
thing. At
huge
this
like
point, everything I'm
it's
saying
20
will
million.
still cause him to get
Yeah.
his
It's like a
contract.
20 million
You got to
dollar,
pay the man.
risk. About 20 million. Is he gonna get 250 or 230? Like
And that's what
but
I'm saying. At that point, if he's just a bet in the playoff game, he has to take a hit on
I
what he's
agree. I
demanding.
agree with that. But I got him going far this year in the playoffs. I do think they're probably gonna make the AFC Championship game. That's just me though. They do have to work on their defense though. That's for sure. That's 100% sure. Because that's one thing that is gonna help all of the whole team. Honestly, if he doesn't have to stay on the field that long, then it's definitely gonna help everybody. But speaking of
Oh yeah.
the Ravens, they obviously played the Bengals in Monday Night Football, and crazy game. came down to the wire, and I mean,
Hmm.
we talked about the Bengals a few times this year, man, and it seems like every week
It's the same conversation.
it's something. Yeah, it's something with them, man. But we talked about them when they were 0-2. You know, are they gonna switch up their tune? And we did say yes, they would. And then they went 2-2. Like they won the next two games, 2-2.
2-1.
But
Yeah,
now they
I was
just
saying they
yeah,
lost so closely, and they were this close to being
ex-
3-0 the last
exactly. And
just
now they
three
just lost
weeks.
to Baltimore, so now they're 2-3. But now looking at them at 2-3, and then Baltimore at 3-2. Do you see them like winning their division, and then beyond that, do you see them going to the AFC Championship game since they made it to the Super Bowl last year?
I mean, that's a tough question because at the end of the day, with the way they're playing, you can't even question if they're going back to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, yeah,
But AFC Championship, like, can they get back to the top of the AFC like they were last year? And that's crazy because, like I said, they are one couple plays away from basically winning three in a row. But like you said, at this point, two
yeah.
and three, not looking too good in a division that third.
Damn.
Yeah,
Yeah, they are
they're
because they're tied
actually
for third.
they're actually
Yeah,
they're tied.
tied for third.
They're
Yeah,
behind the
Browns.
Browns,
Yeah.
so they're actually third. So at this point, it's going to be a tough uphill battle to win the division. And if they could win the division or get a wild card spot, do you see this team winning a couple games and getting back to the AFC? That's wild. Um, it does seem like they gotten out of that Super Bowl funk that they
Mm.
were in. Clearly, they won two games. The offense was looking
Yep.
fantastic. Even last week, they weren't looking too bad, but they still have a lot of different problems. One thing I've been saying all year is going to be their Achilles heel, besides their sacks, is still their running back. I said this 3 weeks ago. Joe Mixon is underplaying his position, averaging only 3 yards a carry. 3 games later, he's still only averaging 3 yards a carry. Um, his 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 stamina don't look all the way there. His IQ, I can't express to you how many clips I've seen in the last 2 weeks of regular TikTokers and Twitter people
Clowning them.
calling out the Bengals plays based on the way Joe Mixon is standing. He stands up straight 90% of the time when it's a run, and he leans forward with his hands on his knees, usually when it's a
Oh damn.
pass. They tag that. If we tag that, the other
Oh,
team tagged that.
of course. If people on TikTok are getting
So
that, come on now.
you literally, so you got a running back that don't seem to be able to hold his own, not running good yards, basically giving away plays. You got an
Wild.
offensive line that's still not playing like the way they're supposed to. I mean, we're looking at 19 sacks now,
Oof.
and it's still not looking like Joe Burrow has any time in that pocket comfortable, and they're better coverage on Jamar Jackson this year. So, or Jamar
Jamar
Chase.
Chase, yeah. Jamar
Yeah, I said
Chase, yeah.
Jamar. Yeah. So they're playing a lot more tighter coverage, which is better for T. Higgins. But at the end of the day, if Joe Burrows don't have those extra couple seconds in that pocket to make that play, it don't matter. Especially because you cannot. Um, so I've said
So
it last year. I said it in the end of the season when we recap the Super Bowl. I said it in preseason. I'm saying it now. The Bengals were 7-6 at a point, and then won 6 or 7, with 5 of them being 7
yeah.
points or less. They squeaked by on so many close. They're having the same problem this year. The only issue is they're going to find themselves, and they are starting to find themselves on the losing end of that
Mm.
more than not. They were a couple plays away from honestly, like it might be. You got to understand, they were honestly a couple plays away from being 5-0 at this
Yes, that's
point.
100% true.
They really
That's
were,
100%
and
true.
at this point, I said that you can't sustain that. Like last year, 7-6, winning pretty much
Mm.
5 of them being close games. You won a majority of those games. This year, I already knew from the get go that wasn't going to be the case. So obviously, 5 weeks into the season, they're still showing they're a contender. But at this point, I do not see them going winning the division.
Wow. Yeah.
And if they get a wild card spot, which I do think they can, I don't see them beating the Bills. I don't see
Yeah.
them beating the Chiefs, beating the Ravens.
Yeah.
They're going to have to face at least one of those teams to even touch the AFC Championship, let alone one of those teams are going to be waiting for them there.
Yeah. It's a
At
good
this
point.
point, I think the Bengals can make a good season run, make a decent playoff push. But I do not see them getting past the division round this year.
Wow, yeah. I mean, that's a probably really honest and good prediction about their whole season. You laid it out very well, and honestly, when we talked about them just weeks ago, man, I told you like why they had problems. Even like toward in the beginning of the season when we did our predictions, I just knew that they were gonna have problems this year because they didn't fix that O line. That was their big issue, honestly, the
Hmm.
offensive line, and there's a reason why Joe
And
Mixon.
lost their best blocking tight end.
That too, and right now they just their left guard just got injured, who wasn't that good anyways, and now they got a backup left guard now. Like you said, Joe Burrow's got 18 sacks on him already in 5 games, ridiculous number. I just think that they really have trouble up front, and that's a big reason why Joe Mixon is getting made fun of, like you said. Like that's definitely a reason because he's not a bad player at all. Like my man can run.
He's not. He
Of
has the
course he
skill
does. I
set.
mean, he had like multiple 1,000-yard seasons, so he definitely does. But I just think that he definitely helps him out a little bit. One thing about T. Higgins though, where was he in that Ravens game, man? 0 catches, 0 targets. Like what happened there? Like I don't even understand that one bit. I really don't.
Hey, Ravens. It might seem like their defense isn't that great, but they've been doing a decent job locking up some good
Yeah, I
receivers
mean
this
Marcus
year.
Peters.
Like, yeah, remember they were giving the Bills
Yeah.
receivers problems that first half of that game. Basically, both offenses started giving the ball up, causing.
Yeah, a lot of turnovers. But Marcus Peters definitely was doing his thing against Diggs in that Bills game, and he was doing his thing against Chase too. He had one big stop against Jamar Chase, like on a third down, where it was a screenplay, and he needed like Jamar Chase needed 3 yards, and Marcus Peters was right there, got a tackle right before the first down marker and stopped the drive. So he definitely made a big impact in that game as well, for the Ravens. But as far as the Bengals, I mean, I definitely think that they're not really in trouble yet. Even though I said that they're gonna have problems this year, I still think that it's early in the season. Like, yeah, you said they're third in the rankings, but I mean they're only 1 game behind the Ravens. Like you can say 1.5 games because the Ravens already beat them. But one thing we got to look at is they're playing the Ravens week 18, last game of the season, and that's gonna be a huge game because honestly, the way that it's looking, the Ravens are not gonna be a top tier team. They're still gonna be like a 10-7, something like that, like maybe 11-6. That's gonna be like their high point. I still see them losing like some games, and same with the Bengals. And honestly, that 18th game that could decide who wins that division right there and who goes to the wild card spot. I do think that both the Bengals and the Ravens are gonna make the playoffs this year. I think that whoever plays in that, I mean, whoever wins that 18th game is gonna win that division. They are playing in Cincinnati, but I still think that the Bengals are not gonna beat the Ravens in that divisional game week 18. So I do think they're gonna take the wild card spot, and it's gonna be a tough road for them from there. You just named it, man. The Bills, the Chiefs, the Ravens. Obviously, there's either other teams in the AFC that are trying to get up there. I mean, if Miami like pushes makes the push at the end, you never know. But
Without Tua,
I agree.
it's
But I
over.
mean,
Bridgewater is not doing
I
nothing.
agree. And Bridgewater definitely didn't look good at all. But you never know. They might let Tua come back in like 2-3 weeks. I know
Shit.
it's looking tough, but I mean, usually in basketball, like concussions usually last like around 14 to 21 days. So hopefully in football they'll look at it
I
the
mean, I
same
hope
way.
so.
But
I hope
I'm hoping
so.
for the best for him. You don't want nothing
No, for
like
sure.
especially that hit was like brutal. So you definitely don't want nothing to
Yeah.
last. But I do think he's gonna be back, and they are probably gonna make a small push. There are some teams in the AFC though that can make a push, even like teams that are really gonna come out of nowhere. I mean, obviously,
I mean, we got the
yes, that's
Chargers.
exactly what I was just gonna name next. Literally, I was just gonna name the Chargers next. Who I think is gonna be one of those sleeper teams that is gonna possibly either be in that wild card game because I don't think that the way it's looking, the way Kansas City's looking, they're looking amazing. So I do think the Chargers are probably gonna be a wild card team this year, and the way it's looking, it might be against a team like the Bengals. So Chargers Bengals in that wild card spot. I would love to see that type of game. I do see the Chargers winning that game.
Hmm. Two
Yeah,
high-powered
yeah, for
offenses.
sure.
Yeah.
But either way, Chargers, Ravens, Chiefs, Bills. I see all of them beating the Bengals in a playoff game. So I agree with
Yep.
you. They're not gonna make it past the first round, the wild card round.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Like I said, I think they might get a wild card. Maybe if they, depending on the team they face, against. 'Cause I think they're adding one more this year, right?
Yeah, it's seven teams per division.
Exactly.
Or I mean per conference. Yeah.
Per
Yeah.
conference. So that
That
they
one
might
by.
squeak out that first round, but there's no way they're squeaking out. The way they're playing right now, there's no way they're squeaking out four teams we just named.
No. I don't see it happen unless it's like unless they get like a really crazy matchup that I don't know, a lucky matchup.
No,
But I
definitely.
don't see them moving past
Yeah.
any of those teams. I agree with you totally, 100%. And for me, honestly, it's looking like Zach Taylor might not be the right guy to coach that team because he makes a lot of mistakes late in games. Um,
I don't know how I didn't mention that, but 100% the play
yes, it's
calling
bad play calling, bro.
for the Cincinnati
Bad play
Bengals have
calling,
been
terrible.
ridiculous. I question myself, like, did they like? I literally had to look it up because I'm like, in my head, I'm tripping. It was literally yesterday. I'm literally at the bar with one of my friends who's a Bengals
Mm.
fan. My homeboy said, and I'm like, am I tripping? Did they get a new coach? Like, I could have sworn he's been there. And he was like, no, he's been there. So I'm like, so why does it seem like they just created a whole new offensive scheme this year?
I know.
Like, it
I
makes
feel you,
no
bro.
sense on what they're
I
trying to
feel you.
accomplish. Like, I don't get it.
No, he
I
and he
don't
makes a
get
lot
it.
of mistakes in the games. He's made. Remember, game one, he made that crucial timeout mistake. Game two, he made a mistake going for a field goal instead of going for it on fourth down near the 45-yard line, and it was like almost a 59-yard field goal. They missed it, and also this game and with the Ravens, if you remember, they scored and they went for two instead of taking the extra point because they were trying to win it instead of tie it. So that's a mistake, I would say. I mean, obviously, if you make it, then you look like the hero, but they didn't, and he looked like
No,
yeah, definitely a
for
bad mistake.
sure. And like I said, all those close games, it's gonna be a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
Um, but another team I want to talk about is basically looking like a recipe for disaster with coaching staff that honestly don't seem like they either, which is surprisingly is pretty much the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah.
Obviously, Aaron Rodgers got off to a slow start last year, came turnaround MVP season. Um, somewhat of a slow start this year, but this slow start looks a lot different. And we got to ask the question: should we be worried about Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers at this point in the season? So for the rest of the segment, you're gonna hear me refer to Aaron Rodgers as Aaron. Shout out to Keem Pill. I
Hey,
cannot
Ron.
say the name Aaron without saying Aaron. So you're gonna hear that a lot. Just know who I'm talking about. But basically, the reason why I say they've kind of been in this position before, but it's a lot different because they don't look dominant on any side of the ball, really. Now, mind you, they got dominant people in dominant positions, but it seems like there's a lot missing when it comes to the mindset that team have than any other year they've had it. Pretty much, I mean, come on, we just see him took a 27-22 loss in London against the Giants, and the fact that y'all had to travel 1,000 miles to get your ass whooped by the Giants, that's a damn
That's
shame.
funny
That's a damn shame.
to
Because
get
at
whipped
the end of the day,
instead.
it was the most watched London game we've had so far, and it was because
First
Aaron
time they've
Rodgers. You
ever
know what
been
I'm
to
saying? Like
London. The
exactly,
Packers.
first time they ever been to London too. So a lot of people were looking forward to that, and obviously it was a good game if as a
Yeah,
football
actually it
fan,
was,
but that was
man.
not a good. It was a great game as a football fan, but not a good look, for the Packers itself. Um, it's crazy. Well, a lot of teams. So some teams don't know what to do when they face Aaron Rodgers, but at the end of the day, most teams understand that their best option, without Devontae Adams, is to take the ball out of those two star-studded running backs in the
Yes.
backfield's hands.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it sounds like a suicide mission. But to beat the Green Bay Packers at this point, they have your best chance is to keep the ball in Aaron Rodgers' hands. Now the problem with that is for most years you always found a way, or he always found a way to make that work. But
Mm.
like I said, without Devontae Adams out there, he has been looking inaccurate, missing opportunities. Obviously, hella drops by the receivers. Protection always hasn't been there. He's looking uncomfortable. And basically,
Mm.
right now, Aaron Rodgers is looking like he's really struggling. So basically, the Giants. honestly, like they still found a way. Like they basically shown us the blueprint. They where the Packers only scored 22 points, and pretty much for majority of the game, those two running backs in the Green Bay's backfield were averaging 5 yards a
Yeah,
carry.
yeah, that's true.
Couldn't stop them, but they knew what to do to find ways to make sure that the ball wasn't
That's
moving,
true.
stop them on crucial third downs, and like I said, they begged Aaron Rodgers to make plays, and for the first time in I want to say forever, like I said, I've seen bad games, but it really looked like I want to say he didn't know what he was doing. Clearly, he know what he's doing, but it did not look like the MVP Aaron Rodgers we saw last season, and it hasn't been looking like that for five
Yeah,
games now. Without the weapons that he needs, because we got the weapons you in the backfield, but Aaron himself, he has no one to throw to. Like I said, protection is not good. Much, you know, they're just not finding ways to move the ball in crucial times. I got the defense, dominant names in certain positions. You know, you got one of the positions,
yeah,
cornerbacks in the league. You got a lot of good, like I said, Kenny Clark, Rashawn Gray, Campbell, Amos. Pretty much there's a player in almost any position, every position on that defense that you can call out that is an all pro or have that type of potential of play. So there really isn't a weak link, but not, they're like, you can't let the Giants drop 27 points on you. Um, and it wasn't because of their lack of play call. Like I just feel like when it comes to both offense and defensive coaching, they're just not doing the right things on their side of the ball. And when you have team like there's a lot of teams right now fucking up on one side or the other. The Packers have been messing up on both sides of the ball for 5 weeks now. And obviously you can't say, oh well, they won a couple games. Like I get that, but they didn't win those games looking good either. And all the games they lost, they look bad. So at the end of the day, I don't really know what to expect to them, but I am worried. I think we should be worried. I think they should be worried. I think they are worried. You've seen the press conferences after that London loss. You've seen the attitudes. Think what? Aaron made a statement about the negativity and just the way people are carrying themselves. Like right now, that team isn't a team. It's a lot of finger pointing going around. At the end of the day, you got to remember what Aaron Rodgers did to that team in the offseason with the whole, whether I'm coming back or staying if I want to go somewhere else. So when they decided to continue this relationship, it was not on the greatest terms. And right now, Aaron's feeling like everyone else is doing everything wrong. At the end of the day, for most teams, the case is always a lot of the load falls on the quarterback, whether it's a good burden or a bad burden. So he's from to the media, and like I said, the coaches aren't playing up to par. Like it's just a lot going on. I don't know how far they can go. I mean, 'cause like I said, you're supposed to do. You're 21st on defense in the red zone, 22nd in yards per carry, 26 in takeaways, and 30 seconds in passes defended. Literally bottom of the barrel with high names on defense and just under average with a team with Aaron Rodgers on it on offense. So yes, I think you should be worried. Like I said, I think they're worried. I don't really know what to think of where they're gonna go when it comes to a playoff run. At the end of the day, you give Aaron Rodgers a decent shot in the playoff chance with those two running backs. It could be a grit and grind kind of game. But at the end of the day, it's a long season until we get there, and they definitely got a lot to worry about to get there. What
So
about you? What do
yeah, I
you
mean,
think?
I definitely, I'm going with some of your points, like on the defense. I definitely agree with some of those. But honestly, about the worrying thing and about the press conference in London, like I don't worry about Aaron Rodgers. Like, come on, he's had those press conferences where he like literally tells the media, "Relax," like he does like those type of press conferences. He just goes off. He's nonchalant about a lot of things. One thing I will give you is that they're very inconsistent this year. Very, very inconsistent, all over the place. Uh, on defense, they look good sometimes. Like against the Giants, they actually look good in places. I do agree with you on their secondary. They're letting go of a lot of yards, and especially yards after the catch. They're one of the last teams. They're 27th in yards after the catch allowing yards after the catch. But the front four is good. Gary is one of the best defensive ends in the game right now. Honestly, he's still young. He's Neil Gary, and he's got 5 sacks already. He's got like 5 tackles for loss as well. He's doing really well.
Oh no, that was their best like choice moving him or
This one.
the third got buried.
That's one thing I was gonna say is about Matt LaFleur. Matt LaFleur, as Stephen A. would say, Stephen A. Smith, ESPN Hotline. But as he would say, like Matt LaFleur, he made a few good choices on defense. He obviously didn't make any really good choices on offense. He didn't really pick up anybody for Aaron Rodgers to throw to. We all know that Aaron Rodgers is throwing to an old receiver in Randall Cobb and a guy in Allen Lazard, who's really not a number 2 receiver. Maybe not even. I mean, he's a number 3, but he's really not a number 2, not a true number 2. And he's got a few young guys.
He's only a number 2.
True, and
even
Cobb
then,
is not that
I think
guy.
Scantling was a better number
yeah,
2.
and Cobb is not that guy right anymore. And
Had a good game though.
He's had a good season, honestly. He's almost at 300 yards in 5 games at his age. I think that's really great for a receiver at his age. But one thing you did say is their running game is on point this year. That's one thing they've never had. They've never had a running game like this. They're top 10 in running right now. 2 guys, almost both of them have 300 yards each rushing. So they're definitely doing work. And I do think that that's one thing that Aaron Rodgers has never had. And one thing that I've always said in the playoffs wins you games is running game and defense. And they have a good running game. They don't have defense quite yet. But if you have a running game and you got Aaron Rodgers and you have like slightly good, decent defense, I think that'll win you games. Now, what you got to look at is they lost to the Vikings and the Giants. And both of these teams they're 4-1 right now. So
they're above average at this point.
They're the top tier right now in the NFC. I mean, if you're looking at, definitely standings, but as far as offenses go, like right now the Vikings and the Giants are top tier offenses. Like with Saquon and Daniel Jones, they're doing very well, and obviously Justin Jefferson is balling out right now for the Vikings. But I just think that what we're gonna see with the Packers this year is we're gonna see them win against the bad teams and lose against the great teams. Like, they're going to win games, but it's going to be against some lowly teams. And that's what I was going to get to next. Like, the next 2 games that they actually got to play, they got some easy games, man. So, I think that they're going to win the next 2. They got the Jets, and then they got the Washington Commanders next. So, the 2 next games, I'll be honest.
Hey, don't sleep on them Jets.
I can't sleep on them. That is your squad. Now let me stop.
Oh, I knew I should never said nothing.
Stop. Hey, man, my man Sauce balling out right now, but the Jets are balling out. But I do expect them to win those games. Like, expectations are for the Green Bay Packers to win, and honestly, at that point, we're gonna be looking at them as being 4-3 and on an uptick. So I really don't think we should worry about them. 4-3, and yeah. Either that and honestly that's not really a big worry for me, where they could still make in the NFC right now. I think that they can make the wild card with a decent record, like a 10-7 record. Even a 9-8 is going to get you into the wild card this year in NFC. I think 9-8 record will get you there. I think the Packers will make it with a 10-8. Oh, sorry, 10-7. Excuse me.
Well, that's the thing. The NFC is like with the way the Eagles, Cowboys, Giants are playing right now. That's gonna be a couple wild card spots. For basically the division. Like, they're gonna have to fight for a wild card spot, because at this point, like obviously you got the Bucks. I'm not sure. Like, I do think the Rams will take the division, but at any point the Cardinals step it up and the 49ers continue to be somewhat consistent with that defense, like literally you got a lot of teams that are going to be, that's like 3 teams that are fighting for those 3 spots. That's not including the Packers, because literally you're going to, at this point, I don't see the Cowboys, Eagles, or Giants. Like, obviously it's a short season so far, but
I disagree with that right there, because like the one thing about the NFC, what we call the NFC
right, the Giants,
beasts, they used to be the NFC lead, but they haven't played each other yet. They haven't played each other at all yet. So once they start playing each other, they're going to cure some losses. Remember that. So right now, you do got the Giants at 4-1, obviously Cowboys at 4-1, and Eagles at 5-0. But once they start playing each other, they're going to get some losses, with them. But I do agree with you that you could have 2 teams there make the wild card. I do agree with the other one with the Rams. I do think that it could possibly be between the Rams and the Cardinals for sure. Tampa Bay's got that division on lock, I believe, unless
I would say Tampa, and then between the Vikings and Packers.
I do think there's 4 teams fighting for those 3 spots, and you're right. Packers are going to have to be one of those teams, I think.
So it's to say that like obviously like most years like 1 or 2 games is really about to make or break us. But you 100% make a good point. That NFC East is gonna start taking some losses because they start playing each other. And if one of those teams got to go, I'll probably choose the
Damn.
Giants. They're probably the least consistent team. At the end of the day, both Eagles are playing good on both sides of the ball better than anyone expected. So until they start showing us something different, we got to give it to them. And Cowboys that they're literally winning with the top-notch defense
Great
in Cooper
defense.
Rush.
Great
So
defense.
you still have to let them. So at the end of the day, if you expect one of those 3 teams to start to fall off, the Giants has to
I
be
don't
your
know,
logical
man.
explanation. And you don't want to say that, but at the end of the day, besides the Packers, who have they really played? Like they've been playing a little above average,
Yeah.
but they're not excelling
Well,
anywhere. So
Saquon's been
like,
balling.
well, no, Saquon's been having a great year. But it just seemed like if anyone has to be a little bit more consistent, you have to make a choice. I would say Giants, but I don't want to say it. Like I think they're
Yeah,
playing
I
great.
don't want to say that either. Honestly, I would have said the Cowboys because the Cowboys are the ones that always make mistakes, like late in the season or always do some stupid shit that
I would say let that come
I
back
mean,
and they
like
start
literally,
losing.
that's exactly what would happen. Like Cooper Rush is gonna go out and win you like
Yeah,
five. He's gonna go 5-0, 6-0, and then Dak's gonna go out and just like lose you like 6 games in a row. Like I could. That's such a Cowboys thing to happen. Like they're an
for sure.
accident waiting to happen to me. So I mean, I don't see them. I mean, I see them making the mistakes. I don't know. The Giants are looking pretty good right now. They
Yeah.
got trouble with their wide receivers right now, but other than that, their defense looks good too.
Well, my other issue with the Packers also is the point that they, even though it's a sample and an average, so obviously not every game was as close, but they're scoring 97 points in the last
Mm.
5 while they gave up 96.
Oh, so
They're not
you
at
know, you
this
know.
point. One side of the ball should be more prolific than the other, and they're both
No,
playing average.
my man Aaron
And
Rodgers
then
is not used to this. He's not used to at this point of the season. He's used to going up like 5-0, 4-1. Like starting out pretty
and
hot.
I'm saying like we had a taste last year when he kind of
Yeah,
started off slow, but like I said, he had a weapon, man. Devontae Adams, we all agree. Even though Cooper Cup won the Triple Crown, we all agree who are the best wide
I
receiver
don't know, not
when it comes to
anymore,
skill set.
man. Not anymore. The way it's looking like
But
you need that quarterback. Looks like you need that
right,
quarterback
right.
because the way Devontae Adams has been playing, he's been missing catches. Like definitely, I don't know. My man got heated.
Yeah, no.
Push the
So
cameraman.
yo, kind of press charges.
I know that's too much.
I
That's a little
seen
too
that
much,
today. They
but
definitely trying to get their money. My man talking about he in a
damn.
coma.
He
My
said my
back is broken,
spine.
spinal.
Damn. I hope the man is all right though, cause I thought I
He's all
know
right.
it wasn't a
He's all
crazy
right,
hard
bro.
push. I mean, it didn't look like it was, but
He's all right.
you don't want the man to get pushed just for being like doing his job,
Right, right, right.
just for doing his job. But that was
He was trying to get the wrong.
I know, but nah, my man was pissed. My man, he was like, "Man, we should have won that game," and he was right about that. But that's a good recap on the week 5 in the NFL. We talked about a lot of great things about most teams. Honestly, we pretty much went through.
Some good storylines right
Yeah, there
there,
was a
man.
lot, and definitely if you guys like want to shout out like your favorite storylines from this past week and what you're looking forward to ahead, make sure you guys comment below. We want to hear what you guys got to say about that too, about week 5 and also about the week ahead, because now we're about to do some week 6 predictions, and we're gonna start off with
There
that
ain't
Thursday
no
night game.
who you
Those who
got.
you got exactly, and Thursday night we're gonna have it's gonna be a decent game, man. I mean, some people are gonna want to see the young QB and Justin Fields take a
Oh, some
well,
people.
listen, he's gonna be going against the toughest defense that he's gone against this year, and that's the Washington Commanders. They actually have a top 10 defense right now. So is the Washington Commanders versus the Chicago Bears. I mean, I think it's gonna be a decent game, like especially checking out if Justin Fields is gonna be a top tier quarterback looking into the future. What do you think about this one and who you got? You don't agree with me at
I
all.
mean, at this point, I could find a way to to just cancel my Amazon Prime account just
Damn.
because I am so mad at the Thursday night games that they've been forcing us to watch. Who allowed the Broncos to get so many prime time games? Like I understand they thought they were getting Russell Wilson of old. But why did
Bro,
they
that's
take up
why,
all
because
this
they
all this
paid
time?
Russell Wilson $240 million, and they said let's give him 6 primetime games.
We didn't say
I
that
mean,
though.
we didn't. We had him fourth.
And we definitely didn't say we wanted Commanders versus Bears on Thursday Night Football. I'll be honest. Both teams are coming in here with a losing streak. And they have to rebound quickly off a short week, which is never fun. Washington is obviously dead last in the NFC East, where everyone else is finally competitive. And obviously, Bears are 0-2 in the NFC
Yeah.
North, so their chances of winning the division is pretty much non-existent. The question is, can either of these teams figure out what to do for their quarterback
Mm.
position and find a way to win a game and even maybe move on to somewhat of a successful season? Both of them are legitimately like 100% bad. But one more win for each team will pretty much be good, and I think that win is going to go to the Washington Commanders. At the end of the day, they have been shitting your boy Wentz, but he has pretty much been playing good. I think he's top 5 in passing in the league.
Mm.
Um, and while they have the names, while they have the reason why they're so bad is 100% that defense. I said it last year, 2 years ago, they were doing great. Now, stat wise, you might think obviously they do good, but at the end of the day, they have no explosiveness on the defensive side of the ball. They're not finding ways to pretty much clutch down on
They
certain
don't cause
possessions
turnovers.
and
They definitely
stop
don't
the
cause
ball. They
turnovers. You're right
don't.
about that.
They get marched down on the field. Yeah, they might not get scored on all the time. Like they don't do enough to force the other team to fill them at all. And like you said, they still top 10 like when it comes to stats. And that they do have names. That front four is
Yeah,
great.
one of the best. Allen is
They
amazing.
got decent secondary, mobile linebackers, and like I said, they should be what last year the stats didn't look like the name of the names on the defense, and that's because the second half of the season they pretty much started giving everything up. So I do think they will finish top 15 in defense, even top 10, 100% with those names. But hey, we got a lot better defenses that are stepping it up in the league this year
Yeah,
that people maybe didn't
that's true.
expect.
I agree with you
So
there. I think that they're gonna fall
so it's
down.
gonna be a tough year for them to show their worth. But at the end of the day, like I said, they haven't been able to win games usually. But Carson Wentz has been trying to show that they got to fight in them. I mean, what the last game he just played in, he got 350 plus 2 touchdowns. Like he's doing what he's supposed to do.
Eh,
The
he's
reason why I
almost
give
doing what
them
he's
the
supposed to
win,
do. Cause that last play of the game,
oh no, but that's the thing. Like
that
he's like
last play of the game.
I knew from the get go he's not that one half of MVP season Carson Wentz. Like we're not getting
Nah.
that no more. But I feel like they're not trying to build any like where's the run game? Like what are you guys doing? Like I said, Carson Wentz is doing enough to hold the team somewhat
Yeah.
together, but he's not gonna be able to he's not gonna be able to really cross that line for you. But that's where you need the help of the rest of the team. But the reason why I think that team can do that this week is because you have a very, very, very lack of skill on the Bears side of the football.
Yes.
At the end of the day, we know they got Justin Field, great running back in Montgomery, but they're 27th in
Yep.
points per game, 22nd in yards per
Sad.
play, and pretty much second to last in yards
Sad.
per game. They're not doing anything on the offensive side of the ball to move it. Why I said the Bears have lack of explosiveness on the defensive side of the bar. I mean, the Commanders have lack of explosiveness on the decent defensive side of the ball. The Bears have that same lack of explosiveness on offense, and
Exactly.
they have names.
Exactly.
They have names, but the names don't mean nothing at this point in the NBA and the NFL. They can move the ball whatsoever. What last game, the two top receivers in the Bears had 76 yards combined.
Damn.
What number two receiver on the Commanders has 75 yards on one
By
play by
himself.
himself. By himself.
Hmm.
Now, obviously, I don't expect that to just
McLaurin.
be everything that happens, but it just shows to show there's going to be one team that has a chance to make plays when they need to and move the ball when they need to, and that's 100% not the Bears.
Yeah.
So I think while both struggle to win games, there's one team that has a little bit more put together. And at the very end of the day, neither one can score. Neither one can stop the other team from scoring. But one of them can move the ball.
Yeah.
The
Good
Bears can't
point.
even move the ball.
Good point.
So at the end of the day, I do think it's gonna be a tough fought game. But I can pretty much give it a Commanders win, 24-17. Chicago at this point is the only team in the NFL to have 100 passing attempts yet, 5 games in. They're literally averaging less than
Yeah, he
25 passing
does.
attempts a
Yeah.
game, and that's only 3 touchdowns to go with it.
Yeah, and that's what I'm gonna
Turn
throw out
out.
some stats for you right here, real quick, because that was some great analysis by you. Honestly, you had pretty much the whole game analyzed, and I'm just gonna throw some extra stats for the people to just realize how bad Chicago is on offense, like you just described. 32nd last in the NFL in passing. They're 31st in receiving, obviously, and 30th in first downs, and also they're 27th in points, like you said. Now, that one good thing that they do have is their top six in rushing. They have a top six rushing attack, which is crazy. Ty Montgomery and Justin Fields are balling out right now. They are rushing it very well, but
Herbert did a perfect job stepping in when
yes,
Montgomery went down as
Herbert
well.
Herbert was
Didn't miss a
great. I
beat.
like him a lot too. He's a really good young running back as well. I think that Russian attack is really great, and they have a decent offensive line. And it's surprising that they're not passing it more this year. But now, what if I told you that Carson Wentz was a top 10 quarterback this year? You'd be like, what?
I would believe you.
Yeah, well, yeah, he's actually a top 10 quarterback this year, statistically speaking. In passing yards, he's top 10. In touchdowns, he's top 10. And in first downs, he's like outside the top 10. He's like 13th. So he's just right there. But he's pretty much a top 10 quarterback if you're looking at passing yards. So honestly, like the way that he's playing this year, he's trying to keep the ball, turnover free. I know that he did have that one big turnover, which I made fun of him too for. Like I do think that was a bad turnover right at the end of the game. Like you don't want to lose that way. You don't want to throw the last play to be an interception right near the goal line. That's just not how you want to lose. But I do think that
Hmm.
he's got the weapons like you said. McLaurin's out there doing work. They got Gibson back, so he's gonna be out there as a running back. I think that they definitely have some weapons. That rookie wide receiver Dotson has been doing really well as well. I really like him this year. I think that he is going to be my rookie of the year for offensive rookie of the year. So he's already got like 2 touchdowns, a few long plays, and that's one good thing that Carson Wentz has been doing this year. They got a lot of plays from 20-yard plays actually. So they're top 15 in 20-yard plays, and Chicago is literally second in 20-yard plus plays. So, honestly, do I see Chicago moving the ball that much? Really? Do I see like moving that much? Not really, because they're not that. But I do see them moving it a little
Right.
more than. But this game is gonna show about the field. I do want to see how he moves around that pocket, kind of like Lamar did, this year. He kind of showed out, and he showed out against. I think the force is really great, and if he could really hold this game, but right now I don't trust him, and I don't trust the Bears, so I'm going to do. But my score, I think the Bears are only going to score 10 points. I think Washington's going to man.
Yeah, no, definitely a more exciting game. 100%.
At least some
Uh,
touchdowns, hopefully, right?
I think we see this two teams. At the end of the day, it's a game,
And that's the
sloppy game.
someone else's.
Nah,
Oh
yeah. At
wow.
this point, they're to be competitive. So yeah, 100%. I'll be more, and everyone's starting. The finger point is starting. Like,
He
it's
did
just
say
disgusting to
that.
me when they want you actually doing it.
Yo, that's
Um,
crazy. So, is the reason why you guys want to get you like quarterback? I was like,
they bro, like he's the only one putting you to winning games, even though you're not like yet now. So health isn't looking too good. But definitely that. Even though it's not going to be that great of a game, it's going to be some. Definitely moving on to our Sunday night primetime game.
right.
Complete
It should be
two great teams playing each other, and someone's going to have the undefeated Eagles 5-0 facing the 4-1
this
Cowboys.
game I've been waiting for honestly since the Cowboys started balling. I've been waiting for this game because I really want to see that Eagles offense. I mean, I want to see Micah Parsons, and if he could really stop. I mean, really stop the Eagles rush attack in all of football. Which, if you remember the first game of the season, or predictions predicted the Eagles are going to have the top, and I even told them they got the top offensive line right now. It's huge because right now he bought 2 sacks on Matthew Stafford,
Mm-hmm.
and he's ferocious. If he's I think close to what he was doing after that. I think that, Eagles have problems, but I just think that their offensive line is so good. Really, well, they got Miles Sanders in the back doing work. So many, AJ, so many people are making plays. Got to make plays. So many other plays. Don't even just make guys that are. And honestly, one that we're obviously all looking at is take over. Get a team that is looking like they're unstoppable. That's really Elliott's not really doing anything for the Cowboys this year. He's looking good. He's on and like on a few games, off a few, so you can't really. But you're saying, I do think that you be able to rely on him, but right now he's got some slippery hands that he can't catch everything. I do think that one of the Cowboys surprising is Rush is not making any interceptions, throwing so that's something about yes, that's for the Cowboys, because if they can run it with Tony Pollard and get I think that they do have a chance to keep this game close and keep it close, and whatever happens in the game is going to be any to me. It's honestly going to be in the fourth quarter in the last 2 minutes. I think the running game is going to outmatch the Cowboys, and I see them make more plays offensively and defensively. So I got this game 29. I got Eagles 1.
I mean, I ain't gonna lie, this was a tough one to choose, because both teams, and while most people really, I'll have to be honest.
Really?
I predicted that the Cowboys would be 4-1 after that going down, and that the Eagles.
At the end of the day, I was wrong about them, because a few weeks ago I said that they're probably gonna go 2-2, and that's games.
Exactly. And pretty much what was to laugh. He's the NFC is right now. No,
from the NFC least to the NFC beasts.
Exactly. We really have up, obviously, finding ways to make it work on offense by moving the balls, lights out defense. And team in the range, even though they're there was obviously they're facing a big game yet, which probably the best ball right now. Obviously, record wise, you said offense on the Eagles, defense for the Cowboys, both for their top.
Right.
Jalen Hurts basically was the weak absolutely well. Being 4-0, he's protecting the ball. He's not fumbling, not throwing. His game's looking good. He's getting time in the pocket. His arm is sort of he is so the play he was last year. And then they won against the Cowboys yet. They play each other. But like I said, he's clearly not the same person he was this week. Obviously, he's 100% not putting him in this week, so we definitely can expect Cooper Rush. Definitely, some point Zeke got to step up. Like you can't just expect the defense to hold you down. But like you said, it is a good point that he's not going to play. I think it's going to be a close game, I believe. And I believe that Jalen Hurts, if Cowboys, Ezekiel Elliott, and Cooper Rush don't match, they're going to find themselves not being able to either keep on to us or not to where they need to tie the game or two.
Right.
Because that, I think that is a fantastic ball. But I do think that the Eagles, there's a little bit more firepower. It was a prolific defense that they're facing. There are issues on the Cowboys side of the ball. I think what's going to be the Eagles will win the game. So I definitely got that point to wide quarter. I think that the defense plays some games. I think it was like 21-17.
They're like some of the top scoring teams, so I'm hoping that we're seeing a higher scoring game, because I'll be honest, but it's a matchup either. No, that's a fact. That's why I'm saying it's gonna be a crazy like defense matchup, and I totally agree that I think the Eagles are gonna make those plays. They're gonna be necessary. I just think that there's gonna be a lot of plays. Some interceptions being thrown, maybe even pick sixes. I think plays you're gonna see. So that's why I got a high score.
I'm trying to look at the record right now. Yeah, they against the Commanders, 20 against the Cards. It's 35 points.
Yeah.
Points per game of the highest. They average all 3 touchdowns.
True. Both sides of the ball, yeah.
That's why I think it's gonna be
Oh, I think it's.
Get that touchdown in the last quarter.
Yeah, I think it's like that.
They're putting up 20 on an average against like they're not to lose the game, but they're gonna have trouble moving the ball.
We'll see.
You're gonna face a dominant front four. That's gonna
for sure. That's there. Yeah, Diggs is back there. You got obviously Mike. So yeah, they got some things that they got to work out. The Eagles do, but I think that is going to at least help them keep the guys, back a little bit. They're going to be back from the scrimmage a little bit, and they're going to give some room to Brown. So he's going to be back.
The Eagles haven't scored very well for the fourth quarter of this season at all.
They've been playing bad usually.
But they're going to have to play from behind.
Is that what I'm looking at it like it's like close to the fourth quarter. Yeah. Going into Sunday night, and another interesting. It's also like versus good defense. Maybe not a top tier defense, but it is good offense versus good defense. You got the Broncos going against the Chargers. Obviously, you got the Broncos. They're gonna fire their coach. I think it's Nathaniel Hackett. Especially the way looking. I mean, I don't know if right now that they're worried about. They're injured ligament or something. So
Yeah, he got a
yeah. So I mean, right now they two good running backs. Melvin Gordon, who played the Chargers, and they're playing Chargers this week with Justin Herbert, who was my MVP this year. They're getting Allen back, and they got Mike Williams. Who do you think is going to win the Chargers?
man. This is okay. That I watched this.
Come on.
It's not even like they're right now.
Yeah.
The fact that we
Yeah.
had to watch some
Yo.
overtime fucking Colts. I'm so aggravated with that team right
We
now.
don't like watching like everyone likes seeing the car crash. We don't like seeing that, and like, I'm like I'm inching to I don't know.
Three only putting up 75 points in the season. They're on the offenses this year, and like this partially torn that.
Yeah.
So pretty much that's something these Broncos. And going on the road, pretty much Austin Eckler, hyper offense. It's not gonna be good. It's crazy because it's supposed to be a great game.
True.
Like a good game. See if Hack can find a way to get the team together. At this point, you start getting up. There's no way in hell they're losing this game.
So that's something you always got to look at when it comes to division games, how they play each other. But clearly not the same person that he was in the last 2 years, and that's definitely going to show. Obviously, Jay Jones definitely say that Dak is still out. He is day to day at this point. You definitely expect
Well, you
Cooper Rush.
for MVP. I mean, Josh Allen's he is the MVP right now.
At this point, I think it's going to be a shellacking. Just a good show, and this is actually the one team having a high score. Chargers winning 30.
Oh yeah, nice. I definitely agree with everything you said. I think that they're gonna put up some points. I think it'll be interesting though if Russell Wilson doesn't play. I forget who their backup is now. But I mean, what if the backup and Wilson's out there getting paid $40? They're gonna be a little upset about that.
Brett Rypien.
Yeah. He's a.
I know who that is.
I think he was like a fourth round.
He was on the goal. Team, and now your whole fans on this ride, huh?
They do got a good running game though. I mean, it's his old team. I mean, I doubt he's gonna get like over 70 yards.
Hit on the ball.
I was gonna say like they're looking towards the future and Javonte Williams. The future right now, things that way. I do agree though. I think he's a great pickup. I mean, they're gonna draft a few years ago. So I think that he's a good player for them. The question is obviously, is he gonna be healthy? I think he has been. Do people this year? I just see him. He doesn't have those weapons like DK Metcalf, just catch all like Lockett, who you can throw a screen to and he could just go 80 yards. I think that he has the right weapons around him right now. The team is not really around the game, and for that reason, I don't think they're going to score many points. They're going out there and win 28-14. I think they're back this game, and Mike Williams now is balling out with Justin. He got the best duo wide receiver in NFL. Once they're healthy,
Otto and Tyreek.
Without Tua, we'll have to see. But I guess you're right. When Tua's there, yeah, everybody's worried about when Tua's there. But he's more financial.
There, they might as well be plumbers.
He's good at screens, but defense is gonna know that now. But I think they got a lot outside the Chargers, and they want to put in the division. They need this win because I have them winning this division, and when to be up there with Kansas City, they need a win like this. Close with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Sure.
Yeah. But like of the week, we definitely got some other ones.
Excited AFC rebuilds.
Yeah,
that's a game. Wait, I know it wasn't on the dock.
That one's gonna be interesting, man. We're playing again because I necessarily didn't talk about this game before. So we're playing at Orchard Park. Because I'll be honest, I'm taking whoever
which is fair in Kansas City. It's in Kansas City.
Either way, I'm taking the home team. That's like me. AFC championship, championship matchup. If it's not Baltimore versus Buffalo, it's gonna be Kansas City versus Buffalo, and I think that's what we're gonna be watching in January. And I did one time Kansas City. They're playing in Kansas City, so I got Kansas City.
Time ever in Arrows are underdog at a home game.
Those are crazy.
Those are dominant right now. Best team available. I think it's a great show. Both have been just trying to talk this out right now because I don't know Bills, but like
Bills are.
I do think them face the top team away. When they folded in Miami, I will play hostile environment because they were acting like they didn't know Miami about to be whatsoever. It's like you would have think they never played. Like I said, yeah, they act like they never played. So while they won't face those type of things at Arrowhead, they'll give it up. And like I said, they always play great against the trash teams. Fuck it, I'm gonna dive in. We'll go Bills.
Ooh, right.
We'll go. I swear, I better not disappoint me.
So I mean, I think it's gonna be close. I got like a 4-point game, 27-23.
I think it's gonna be a little higher scoring than that. Now, let me see. You said what you said?
I got.
Actually, that's not. I'm gonna go 30.
Nice Bills. Yeah, man, that's gonna be probably the games we also we at least talk about a little bit for all the Bills fans, and of course, all the fans. And we're glad that you guys joined us. We talked a lot of recap week 4 or week 5, talked about week 6, a lot of deals, a lot of questions, a lot of storylines. Make sure you guys click that like button below if you guys like this one. Also, if you guys want to check out any new videos that were coming out, we got a lot of things coming out that Mel is going to tell you guys about a little bit. But make sure you guys follow us along on our social media. If you guys want to ask questions, that'll be where you want to go. Of course, you can ask us on social. If you want to be a lifetime partner with us, go over to Patreon and you do support, and also you can check out some of the merch that we have over there. Also, like I said.
No, that's what it is. Support. We love here when it comes to having regarding the NFL season, games that you about or you want us, talk about. You already know what it is. Had NBA next week, so we're gonna get right back into that. Talking about right around the corner from another UFC. It's a lot of things going on, and at this point, we're hitting a time where we have so much going when it comes to sports. So you got a lot coming next few weeks, months. You can sharing, let us know what you want to hear. I want to hear what's coming. As obvious as always.
I appreciate you guys from all over the world. Now, from what I'm looking at, I mean, we're looking at over 90 countries, people and more people. Thank you all for listening and watching. Thank you guys all, and we'll check you guys next time on Who You Got with.
Peace.
Nice.